The GameCube is back, baby. Let's talk about it. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I wanted to talk about the GameCube because over the past, let's say, 7 months or so, we have seen a very specific effort on Nintendo's part to bring GameCube games to the Switch. I remember back in 2016, 2017, we were speculating about the NX, about the Switch, whether or not GameCube games would be on Virtual Console. There's a lot of fake rumors about that. We're finally kind of at that point now where we're actually getting just a lot of GameCube games in quick, rapid succession. The first couple of years of the Switch, we didn't get any, at least not from first party, but now in 2023, we already have gotten 3. That's weird. So today I wanted to talk about the games that have already come to Switch, why I think Nintendo might be doing this right now, and talk about what I want to see in the future, because I do think we are only getting started with these GameCube ports. Right, so the first major GameCube game we had come to Switch was Super Mario Sunshine as part of the 3D All-Stars collection back in 2020. This was interesting and noteworthy, of course, because NERD, Nintendo's European Research and Development team, created a GameCube emulator just for that game. And we didn't see them use it again until just this year with Pikmin 1 and 2 HD. These are very comparable in terms of how much effort were put into the ports, but it's still really cool to see these come over, just future-proofing, giving more ease of access. Sunshine used to be a decently expensive game on GameCube, now it's dirt cheap. Same with Pikmin 1 and 2, although I don't know if the prices have gone down on those on Wii and GameCube yet, but these were very expensive games. Now they're very accessible on the Switch, and that's just fantastic. We'll talk about Metroid Prime in a second. I'm okay if they just port them and do pretty minimal effort, as long as they don't charge, a premium for them, which we're seeing right now with Pikmin 1 and 2. You can get both of them for $50, which I personally think is fair. Some people might disagree, but then we have the more premium games like Metroid Prime Remastered, which Retro actually kind of built from the ground up, or at least they didn't, it's not emulated, right? So that came out back in February. It was shadow dropped, which is very interesting, which we'll talk about. But Metroid Prime Remastered is definitely the high end of the scale of what you can expect from a Nintendo GameCube port or remaster. Some would even go as far as call it a remake. I tend to agree, honestly, in terms of just a facelift. This is what remake used to mean. Now remake means, oh, they're reinventing Resident Evil 4 or Final Fantasy 7, but in like 2015, I think Metroid Prime Remastered would have very easily fit in with the remake category. So that right there is already great. And, 2 of those come out this year. But then there are other things that are happening behind the scenes, or maybe not on the forefront, so most people don't realize. A big notable one coming out in September is Botan Kaidos 1+2 HD. This is from Bandai Namco. However, these are, if you don't know, Monolith Soft developed games. Nintendo owns Monolith Soft. I believe the exact legalese here is that they co-own the IP for Botan Kaidos with Bandai Namco. And these are really great, from what I've heard, JRPGs developed by the creators of Xenoblade on the GameCube. This will not happen without Nintendo's approval. Nintendo was okay with the fact that they were releasing Metroid Prime Remastered, Pikmin 1 and 2 HD, and Botan Kaidos 1 and 2 HD all in the same year. That is a lot of GameCube, and like I said at the top of the video, I think we're just getting started. And that's not even talking about third-party stuff. I mean, we're starting to see more and more third-party games like Tales of Symphonia, although that port wasn't very good, apparently. But I really do believe, especially with all the rumors going around right now, that there will be many more GameCube games coming over. And it's worth noting that Nintendo in general has been doing a lot of ports pretty much the entire Switch's life cycle. The first couple years were really Switch focused, Donkey Kong Country, Captain Toad, that kind of thing. Then we get into like the Wii era, I want to say, with Xenoblade and Return to Dreamland Deluxe. But now we're entering the GameCube era, let's say. And maybe next year will be 3DS with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. But I wanted to go over games that I would like to see come over from the GameCube, whether it be through the NERD emulation, akin to Sunshine and Pikmin 1 and 2 HD, whether it be Metroid Prime scale remasters, whether it be, Botan Kaidos scale, where they add quality of life stuff, but it looks largely the same, right? So let's go ahead and get into this. So there are 3 things rumored right now, the most notable of which is FZero GX. Nate the Hate has talked about on his podcast that he has heard F-Zero is coming back, specifically FZero GX. So given his track record being pretty good, sometimes something's wrong, but overall, like 90% of the time accurate, I believe this. In fact, I've said this in the podcast and then maybe other videos. I actually think this game will come out this year, if his reporting is right, if his sources are credible. Metroid Prime being shadow dropped in February, that's one thing, but then we get a shadow drop for Pikmin 1 and 2 in the June Direct. If we get one more shadow drop of a GameCube game in the September Direct, which we're all expecting, that's a pattern at that point. It's too early to call it a pattern right now, but I do believe it's possible that we get it in September. I talked about it with Andres Restart on his podcast, how the gap in August and September is weird, and I do think there will be something in there. Maybe not a GameCube game necessarily, but a GameCube game certainly makes a lot of sense, especially if you shadow drop FZero GX, and maybe you give it a physical release a couple months later, like we've been seeing with Metroid and Pikmin, right? Pikmin 1 and 2 actually comes out in September, funnily enough, physically. So yeah, I think FZero GX makes a lot of sense. Whether or not it'll be to the scale of Metroid Prime Remastered or Pikmin 1 and 2, that's a whole nother question. I want to say that it would probably be closer to Pikmin 1 and 2 just because of F-Zero's scale as a franchise. I don't know what team would be doing it. I've heard some people suggest Next Level Games. I'm not sure, but it could even be outsourced, you know, maybe get Tantalus on it. They did the Twilight Princess HD port. I don't know what they're doing lately. Get them to do it. But yeah, FZero GX, I do think is definitely possible, especially now that we're in the Twilight era of the Switch, where most franchises have been very well represented. I know F-Zero is a meme. It's up there with Mother as a meme, Mother 3, right? I do think it's possible, though, and I do think Nintendo will go back to that well. So, assuming Nate the Hate's reporting is accurate, I think FZero GX could actually come out this year as a shadow drop in that September Direct, and that'll be great, because I've never played that game, and I've heard nothing but good things. The next rumored game is Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. Similarly, I believe Nate the Hate is saying this, but the sources on this is all kind of all over the place, right? But it is a very prominent rumor, Paper Mario getting some sort of remake or something, right? Whether or not it's Thousand-Year Door, though, I'm a little conflicted one. In fact, I did a video back in, I believe, February about this, or maybe April, talking about what game I think would get remade first for the Paper Mario franchise. And I kind of narrowed it down. I think Paper Mario 1 would make a lot of sense. Although, in hindsight, now that we know that they waited for Super Mario RPG to get a remake before putting it on Switch Online, you know, they didn't put it on Switch Online, so given that Paper Mario is on Switch Online, maybe they wouldn't remake it. I've seen a lot of people comment that on that video as well, so maybe that one's off the table. Thousand-Year Door is definitely possible. It fits all the criteria of Nintendo's current GameCube onslaught, and it is the obvious fan favorite. However, we are, as I said, kind of in a Wii era here with Return to Dreamland Deluxe. If we get Metroid Prime 3, which we'll talk about, that would be one. Xenoblade, that was a couple years ago. I really think Super Paper Mario is actually pretty likely, so I'm actually going to say no to Thousand-Year Door. I would love to see it. I've never finished that game, but I did play it a lot as a kid, so if that came over, I would be very happy, but I'm going to put my money on Super Paper Mario, especially since we are getting so many GameCube games. I feel like there are other GameCube games that are more likely than Thousand-Year Door when they can do Super Paper Mario, which, if you don't know, is far and away the best-selling game in the series, so I feel like that's more likely. It also would give a different purpose to Origami King as well. Origami King has this kind of turn-based combat, right, with the weird circles. Don't love that combat system, but it's still essentially turn-based, and if you add Thousand-Year Door, then you just have two turn-based Paper Mario games on Switch. I know people don't love Origami King's combat. I'm not comparing them one-to-one, but you know what I'm saying, right? Super Paper Mario is a very different kind of game, so I think that would maybe make more sense. They could always port Color Splash, but who knows? And then, yeah, I want to talk about Metroid Prime 2 and 3 here, although that last one is a Wii game. I'm not sure how to feel about these. We know from development and job listings that Metroid Prime Remastered was done internally at Retro, and it was finished, I believe, in the summer of 2021. So quite a long time ago. They were sitting on it for quite a while, but from everything we know, I believe they're not doing 2 and 3. They are all hands on deck for Prime 4. So I don't know who would do Prime 2 and 3. They could be smaller releases, maybe, like Pikmin 1 and 2. That's totally possible. But I don't know if they would want to release those after how well received and how beautiful Prime Remastered is, if they aren't up to a similar quality. But also, I don't know any other developer that could make them of a similar quality as Retro, unless maybe Retro assists. I think the current rumor is Iron Galaxy, right? I'm not too sure about this one. I would lean probably towards quick and dirty remasters like Pikmin 1 and 2, which there's nothing wrong with that, especially if they want to get them out before Prime 4. There's simply no way we're getting Prime remastered scale games or versions for 2 and 3 before Prime 4 comes out, unless Prime 4 is like 2026, which can you imagine? So yeah, Prime 2 and 3 I'm a little unsure about. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below though, for sure. And then we get into my big old list of things I just want to see. A lot of games I have not played. The GameCube library is very eclectic. I have not played a lot of the weird stuff there. A lot of things Nintendo did and then just never tried again. Although there are some things that I am very familiar with. Number one is Luigi's Mansion. If you have not seen my reaction to Dark Moon, I got a lot of hate on that video, which is very funny to me. I don't like Dark Moon very much. It's a fine game, but Luigi's Mansion on GameCube is my favorite game of all time, and Luigi's Mansion 3 is great as well. If they're doing Dark Moon, I feel like they have to do Luigi's Mansion. Now, I don't expect a full remake. I really don't. But, you know, Dark Moon, they can't sell that for $60. So what better way to spruce up that physical release than with Luigi's Mansion 1 and a Pikmin 1 and 2 HD style ports to through Nerd's emulation, right? I think that makes a lot of sense next year, and I want to see it. A full, properly done remake of Luigi's Mansion is literally like the dream game for me. I don't think we're gonna get that though, so just give me the GameCube version. I'll even take the 3DS version if you want to. That would maybe make more sense for that 2-pack, but give me Luigi's Mansion 1 on Switch. I just want a way to play it on a modern console that's not a handheld, although, I mean, the Switch is a hand. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Give me Luigi's Mansion, Nintendo. I need it. I want to do my 30th playthrough. Next up are two that I think are probably pretty unlikely, though I would love to see them. Smash Bros. Melee and Mario Kart Double Dash. I think there's very clear reasons Nintendo would not do these, because they want to keep selling Ultimate and Double Dash, and while I don't think these would really hurt the sales of that, although actually, I don't know. Double Dash would probably do really well. I don't know about Melee. Comparatively, Melee on Switch would do, gangbusters, but I feel like Double Dash actually would maybe take a little bit of a piece of the pie, per se. And these would probably just be, your standard, I keep saying Pikmin 1 and 2, nerd ports of these games. But as much as I would like to see them, I don't think they'll happen, but fingers crossed. Melee especially would be a lot of fun to just have accessible. That would require Nintendo actually listening to fan feedback and requests. Although, not to go on a tangent here, I feel like I haven't seen much, clamoring for Melee since Smash Ultimate came out, There used to be, just every day, people are like, oh my god, Melee HD on Switch, please, Nintendo. I feel like I'm not seeing that anymore. A game I have not played that I was kind of referencing with the GameCube library just being weird, Wario World. I would like to see Wario World come back. I've never played that game. I've always wanted to. I don't know why they would want to do this, but, if we're winding down on the Switch and they're just trying to put out games to say they're putting out games, Wario World would be a really cool one to just bring back. Probably will not get a physical release, just a little eShop thing, but Wario World would be really cool. Both Star Fox games, Star Fox Assault and Adventure games, I have not also played. These ones I could actually see. I don't know if they'd be a 2-pack or what, but probably not because they're very different games. Star Fox, I don't think, is getting a new game on the Switch, so for similar reasons to FZero, I think this is possible. I think getting some sort of Star Fox game on Switch makes a lot of sense. We're not going to get Zero, I don't think, because of how the game was received. I also use the gamepad a lot, so I think Star Fox Assault specifically, I could see that happening. Maybe even a full, not to the exact quality of Prime Remastered, but a more effort remaster for Star Fox Assault. There is that rumored Bandai Namco 3D action remake that they're working on with Nintendo. A lot of people think that's Kid Icarus Uprising, but it could be a Star Fox game. Who knows? Another game I have not played and have very little information on is Custom Robo. I've never even, I don't think, seen gameplay of this, but I've recently been going back through the GameCube catalog. I got Eternal Darkness recently. I want to get Geist soon. Custom Robo is something that I could maybe see them just randomly revisiting, we'll say. And then another 2-pack here, actually 2 more 2-packs to end this off here. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance / Radiant Dawn. I think people think these are likely. I would love to see them. I've never played the Ike games, but, and I know this maybe doesn't make the most sense from just the outsider perspective. I feel like if we're gonna get Fire Emblem ports on Switch, not remakes, ports, we're talking about Fire Emblem before getting a remake next year. I do think that's gonna happen from the SNES, right? I think if they're going to port things, I think Fates and Awakening make more sense. I know that's not maybe the most popular opinion, but Fire Emblem is still a relatively niche franchise, and getting those, Awakening is over 10 years old. Think about the nostalgia kids have for that game. So I think those would make more sense, but I would love to see the games come over. And then finally, 2 games that if you asked me 2 years ago if they were coming to Switch, I think everybody and their mom would have agreed. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. What's going on? Where's Wind Waker and Twilight Princess? I actually don't think these are happening on the Switch 1, as it were. It's possible, but I've done discussions with Caleb about this. I feel like at this point for Nintendo to do more ports, maybe not the best idea for Zelda, because they've already exhausted most of their potential, you know? We've already gotten every other 3D Zelda, right? Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are on Switch Online. We got Link's Awakening Remake. You know, there's still 2D games they can do, Oracle remakes. That makes sense. Link to the Past, even maybe Zelda 2. Shout out. I would love that. But in terms of 3D, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are all they really have left to do again. I feel like maybe you want to sit on those and wait. Because we've heard in the past, I think it was Reggie that said this, you know, before he left. They try to have a Zelda game every year. If they want to keep that going, I think they should just wait on Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I think we're also due for a 2D Zelda, but that's a whole nother discussion. So, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, I'm going to say no, but just on the Switch, one. I think the next console, maybe like 2026, a couple years down the line, a couple years into it, maybe we'll see that again. Not even maybe. We will definitely get these eventually, but I feel like if they were going to happen, they would have happened before Tears of the Kingdom. The fact that they didn't happen in 2022 was very surprising to me, so there was a lot of rumors about this. I do think it was probably maybe going to happen, and then they decided not to for some reason. I also think we're gonna get a remake of Ocarina of Time, but go check out my video on Zelda, the future of Zelda, that I did around the time Tears of the Kingdom came out for more discussion on all of that. And that's gonna do it for this video. If I missed any notable first-party games, let me know in the comments below. To be honest, we already got Sunshine. We're getting Botan Kaidos, a series I'm really excited to check out. We got Metroid Prime. We got Pikmin 1 and 2 HD. Maybe like a Mario Party collection would be cool, right? But for the most part, I think that's about it for me in terms of what I would really want to see from the GameCube. Luigi's Mansion's #1 though, Nintendo. Give me Luigi's Mansion. So let me know what GameCube games you would like to see come to the Switch down in the comments below, and specify, do you think it'll be a quick and dirty emulation job like Pikmin 1 and 2, or do you think / want it to be more like Metroid Prime Remastered? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, and just thoughts in general on this weird push for GameCube games that Nintendo is doing in 2023. I'm very much here for it, very excited about it, and I would love to know your thoughts. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Subscribe here so you don't miss any Nintendo news, coverage, reviews, all that fun stuff. And until next time, folks, bye-bye.